At least one person has died after a construction crane fell onto the Taichung metro.
I'm Liao for TaiwanPlus, here on Bataan Island in the Philippines. I've got a story for you on how this small island province is now getting worried that it could be caught in a potential conflict between China and Taiwan.
Chinese state security raids the offices of a New York headquartered advisory firm, spooking foreign businesses in China. Plus, Thailand's legalization of cannabis could soon be overhauled as the country prepares for elections. A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Liao. At least one person is dead and 8 injured after an accident on the metro in the central city of Taichung. A construction crane fell off the roof of a high-rise building onto the tracks below. A passing train was unable to brake in time and crashed into the toppled crane. Investigators are on the scene collecting evidence. The Taichung city government has announced initial fines of close to $3,000 for several people responsible for managing the crane. Meanwhile, the Labor Ministry says it's fining the construction firm around $10,000 for workplace safety violations. China's increasing military aggression toward Taiwan has prompted countries around the globe, including the U.S., to rethink their defense strategies. The Philippines' northernmost province finds itself on the front line as the world's superpowers square off. Liao reports.
People in remote Batanes are used to life on the fringes. Isolated from the rest of the Philippines, supplies can only arrive this far north when the weather permits. But now, the islands known for its windswept landscape and as a rural idyll have more to worry about than the next typhoon.
That's a big threat for the small countries like us and islands like this one. It's a peaceful island, it's a peaceful province. Then if there's some military operation here, what will happen with us?
Last month, US and Philippine forces practiced landing drills on the Batanes coast, part of the largest ever joint military exercises between the two countries, as the United States and its allies face up to China's increasing military ambitions in the region. 20,000 indigenous Ivatan people live on these islands, which are geographically closer to Taiwan than Manila. Taiwan is less than 200 kilometers from these shores, and the waterway separating it from the Philippines, the Basha Channel, is now a major military flashpoint. China, which claims Taiwan as its own, has been increasingly sending its military boats and planes into this choke point as it ups threats to invade Taiwan. To help prevent that, the US has been supplying Taiwan with weapons, but the Western superpower has stopped short of making a firm commitment to come to Taiwan's defense. Now, the US is building up its own military presence in the region, gaining access to Philippine bases in provinces closest to Taiwan.
Back to the White House.
It's a military partnership touted by Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. on his recent visit to the White House.
Geopolitical issues that have made the region where the Philippines is possibly, arguably, the most complicated geopolitical situation in the world right now. And so it is only natural that for the Philippines to look to its sole treaty partner in the world.
The family of 48-year-old Bataan native Protogenes Galarion lived through the Japanese occupation during World War II. Oh, be careful here. Tunnels built at that time still dot the hilltop near his ancestral farmlands. Now, Galarion is concerned that increased militarization could again put Ivitans in the line of fire.
I even don't know how we will confront a crisis like this one. I mean, jokingly, I was telling my friends, even if we dig and make a hideaway, you know, just a tiny capsule will be sent to us. In a tiny island, we will be probably dissolved in just seconds. So hiding, I think, right now is not an option.
Even if Batanes is not directly caught up in a conflict, the effects on the island province could be huge.
The food security of our province will be compromised should there be an actual hostilities between China and Taiwan. plus the resources of Batanes, which is very limited. So we cannot afford a big number of refugees or population transiting from Taiwan to the Philippines through Batanes.
The Ivitans are welcoming an influx of post-pandemic tourists, and the boost is given the local economy. But there is also a growing uneasiness that the impact of the China-Taiwan standoff could also soon be reaching these shores. Patrick Chen and Rick Liao in Batanes, the Philippines, for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's defense ministry has confirmed it will purchase 18 additional Highmar's artillery systems. This means that Taiwan is purchasing a total of 29 Highmar systems from the United States. The Highmars is a mobile, long-range artillery system. Ukraine's armed forces have used the weapon successfully to push back against Russia's invasion. Last week, the defense ministry said that 11 of these systems will arrive in Taiwan in 2025. The original plan was to deliver all 29 systems by 2027 or 2028. The news comes as production issues and the pandemic delayed delivery of several other U.S. defense systems Taiwan had purchased. Taiwan's military reported 20 Chinese warplanes and 4 naval ships operating around the country in a span of 24 hours. 15 of the warplanes crossed into Taiwan's ADIZ, or Air Defense Identification Zone. The zone isn't Taiwan's airspace, but the military uses it as a defensive buffer. The Chinese aircraft included 4 radar planes, 5 fighter jets, 5 bombers, and a drone. Taiwan's military said it tracked the aircraft and had deployed missile defense systems. Vice President Liao has thanked St. Kitts and Nevis for its long-term support of Taiwan. Liao was speaking to St. Kitts and Nevis Deputy Prime Minister Jeffrey Hanley. The Caribbean island nation is one of 13 countries that still have formal ties with Taiwan. Liao, who is gearing up for a presidential run, thanked Hanley for his country's support for Taiwan.
特别是去年4月份，德鲁总理在内阁里面无意通过支持台湾加入世界卫生组织、国际民航组织、国际刑警组织，还有国际气候变迁组织等等。这个是在各国有史以来前所未有的，这对台湾来讲意义重大。
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has called on the World Health Organization to invite Taiwan to observe its annual assembly. Blinken says inviting Taiwan will help the WHO's Health for All push. The WHO's governing assembly meets in Geneva in late May. Taiwan hasn't been invited to the event since 2017 because of pressure from China. Blinken added that U.S. support for Taiwan's participation does not violate Washington's One China policy. China says state security officers have raided the offices of an international advisory firm to safeguard national security. It's part of a wider crackdown on the consulting industry that has foreign businesses worried. Louise Watt has more.
An empty Capvision office in Shenzhen after a visit by China's state security. At the same time, they raided other Chinese offices of the international advisory firm, including in financial hub Shanghai and the capital Beijing. Capvision says it connects clients, including global companies who want insights on business in China, with local experts. But a report on Chinese state media has accused Capvision of paying experts to divulge sensitive information and even state secrets.
凯盛荣英公司为了满足客户需求，即使是对一些涉及国防军工、尖端科技等敏感领域的咨询项目，具体负责的项目经理也会在公司的内部群发邮件，发动大家围绕军工企业涉密科研单位多打电话，联系游说掌握相关内部情况的专家接受咨询。
China says the investigation is about safeguarding its national security. Capvision, which is headquartered in New York and Shanghai, said in a statement on the social media app WeChat, Capvision is firmly committed to developing national security. It's a leader in the regulatory consulting industry and will continue to guide its healthy and orderly development. The Capvision raids are part of a wider crackdown on foreign consultancies that's already seen raids on US consultancy Bain & Company and American corporate due diligence firm Mintz.
Beijing has become quite alarmed by how these firms are getting what is basically open source data that's easily available on the internet, but trawling it very well and putting together a good picture of what China thinks are sensitive areas. So things like, for example, how Chinese companies might be evading Western sanctions, how semiconductors end up in the hands of the Chinese military.
The crackdown is alarming the foreign business community, just as Beijing is trying to attract foreign investors back to the country. If basic due diligence could now fall foul of Chinese law, companies may decide doing business there is not worth the risk. Damon Lin and Louise Watt for TaiwanPlus.
Australian journalist Zhong has been detained in China for 1,000 days. State security agents arrested Chung in Beijing in August 2020. She was accused of providing state secrets to another country. She was working at China's state-run English-language TV station at the time. Her arrest came during a diplomatic dispute between China and Australia. Bilateral relations are starting to stabilize, and there are new calls for her release. The court has given no verdict in Chung's case. She faced trial more than a year ago in a closed court. Chung has 2 children, and her partner says he hopes the family can see her soon.
We have seen the Chinese legal system move fairly swiftly at various times. So I guess what I'd like to see is that the matter brought to a head, and for her to be home as quickly as possible. However that happens, I don't mind. I just want her home, and she just wants to be home with her children.
China's Foreign Minister Qin Gang is protesting a European Union proposal to blacklist several Chinese companies. This came during a meeting with his German counterpart, Annalena Baerbock, in Berlin on Tuesday. The EU says these companies have breached sanctions that were placed on Russia last year after Russia invaded Ukraine. It says its goal is to keep Russia from getting civilian hardware that could also have military uses. But Qin pushed back on this and said China will defend its interest and its companies. Taiwan's biggest travel company is being investigated over whether it falsely claimed labor subsidies. Authorities searched Lion Travel's headquarters in Taipei on Tuesday and questioned 3 of its employees. The company received around $32,000 in financial assistance from the Labor Ministry for employee training programs. But labor officials say instructors who were supposed to carry out training were elsewhere at the scheduled times. The Labor Ministry has banned Lion Travel from receiving related subsidies for 2 years. Coming up, we see how Taiwan's pipe doctors help the country reduce water waste. Details after the break. Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. Protesters and police clashed across Pakistan after former Prime Minister Imran Khan was arrested Tuesday night on corruption charges. Bing Wang has more.
Violent protests erupt across Pakistan. They come after the country's former Prime Minister Imran Khan was arrested on Tuesday on corruption charges. This video shows dozens of security forces pushing Khan into a vehicle. Members of his PTI party denounced the arrest.
सुबह इमरान खान साहब को इस्लामाबाद हाई कोर्ट के अहाते से गिरफ्तार किया गया, जिसकी पूरी कौम ने मजम्मत की है और मैं भी मजम्मत करता हूं। ये गिरफ्तारी गैर कानूनी है, गैर सियासी है, गैर इखलाकी है।
Khan is a Pakistani national cricket team legend. He rose to the country's highest seat of power in 2018 on a campaign promising to implement reforms and fight corruption. In his nearly 4 years in office, Khan faced growing discontent from his political opponents. They criticized his handling of the economy and accused him of corruption. Khan was ousted as prime minister in April of last year. As for why Khan was arrested, Pakistan's interior minister pointed to a single case involving money laundering.
लेकिन ये गिरफ्तारी जो है, ये जो अल कादर ट्रस्ट के नाम से केस है, उस हवाले से उस इंक्वायरी और उस मुकदमे में जो है वो की गई है। ये एक प्रॉपर्टी टाइकून।
He also called for the protests to end.
बदबख्त टोले के लोग अगर जो हैं वो इस गिरफ्तारी पे किसी किस्म की जो है वो अमन व अमान की सूरत हाल पैदा करने की कोशिश करें, तो इनके साथ जो है वो पूरी सख्ती से जो है वो निपटा जाए। इस बात की कत्तन कोई रोड ब्लॉक या कोई इस किस्म की हरकत अगर इन्होंने की, इसकी कत्तन जो है वो इजाज़त नहीं दी जाए।
One person has been killed in the protests so far. Pakistan is due to hold general elections later this year, but there are concerns the country is more divided than ever. It's hoped that the next prime minister can help bring peace and political stability to the country. John Su and Bing Wong for TaiwanPlus.
Massive floods have hit the Democratic Republic of Congo, killing hundreds of people. Sam Robbins takes a look at the aftermath and ongoing rescue efforts.
Digging to find survivors. More than 400 people have died in the Democratic Republic of Congo after massive floods and landslides hit its east region last week. Many survivors are now without their homes, livelihoods, or families.
Tuko tunasikia boga juu na familia yote imeishi. Donc hakunita hata ni shangazi ni babinamu wote wameisha, hakuna kwa makimbilio. Hizi tuko na rangaranga tu mwa hii barabara. Ndio kisi tuko.
These are the deadliest floods in Congo's recent history. They represent an increasingly common trend of climate-related catastrophes in Africa. Floods hit neighboring Rwanda in April, killing 120, and Congo's capital Kinshasa was racked by flooding last year. The government and Red Cross have rushed to get aid to the region. Residents have expressed gratitude for the relief.
Najisikia mzuri juu ya hii msaada, juu tulipata msiba kwa viongozi, nasema asante. Tanisaidia kwa kutafuta parcele na kuchunga watoto.
Rescue efforts in the country continue. Aid organizations expect the death toll to rise as more bodies are found. For scientists, these floods represent a worrying trend. The Democratic Republic of Congo is the second poorest country in the world, and it is countries like this that are facing the brunt of climate change. James Lin and Sam Robbins for TaiwanPlus.
Australia has announced a major aid package to boost ties with Pacific nations. The government plans to spend $1.3 billion in the region over the next 5 years. Most of the funds will be for defense engagement, with some going to infrastructure and labor initiatives. The aid package comes amid rising regional tensions as China increases its influence in the Pacific. Thailand's legal cannabis market could be under threat. The issue of legal weed has become politicized ahead of general elections next week. The country effectively legalized cannabis 1 year ago, and since then, thousands of cannabis businesses have been established in the country. Callum Stewart brings us this report from Chiang Mai in northern Thailand.
Down a quiet alleyway in Chiang Mai's old city, you'll find a small, friendly and casual store. This is the Mavoa Cannabis Dispensary. Inside, it's stocked with bongs, rolling papers and pots of cannabis displayed on shelves and counters, all laid out in the same way you would find in any other shop. This would have been virtually impossible a couple of years ago, but when it comes to cannabis, Thailand has seen big changes in a short amount of time.
The last year, we start to do the shop, and after that, the roll is okay, about the cannabis, so that's why we start to sell.
Last June, Thailand removed cannabis from the country's list of dangerous and illegal drugs. The use of cannabis for medical purposes was legalized in 2018, and last year's amendment effectively legalized the cultivation, sale and distribution of cannabis for most purposes in Thailand. The only restrictions apply to people under the age of 20, pregnant people and those who are breastfeeding.
When they open like this, like have the shop, make the paper, like everything is right way, I think it's good. It's good for not just only earn money, just have to know about weed, about cannabis, and get the knowledge to the people.
Since the legal amendment, cannabis stores and dispensaries have quickly sprung up across the country. There are currently over 300 cannabis stores and dispensaries in and around Chiang Mai, with over 4,500 across the whole of Thailand. Globally, this is not a new thing. Countries such as Canada, Mexico, South Africa, and numerous states in the US have legalized cannabis for recreational use. But in Asia, Thailand is very much the outlier. It also comes at a period of recovery for Thailand's tourism industry, which was hit hard by COVID-19 restrictions.
Before, we got stuck in the COVID 3 years, everything economy is stopped. So I think already a year when in Thailand legal about this, about the cannabis, that is make everybody can make this business and earn money a lot.
But legalizing and regulating the plant has been a complicated process, and the issue has become politicized ahead of the coming elections. The main opposition for Thai parties says that legalizing cannabis poses a threat to society, particularly young people. Their leader is expected to come to power in next week's general elections, and the party says it will tighten the current rules. The Ministry of Health said that legalizing cannabis would be beneficial for both medical and economic reasons. But Gloria Lei of the International Drug Policy Consortium says that those two benefits have failed to fully materialize.
We haven't seen a kind of public education campaign around how those health and economic benefits can be attained. And also the degree and the lack of just public and community consultation, the engagement of particularly local farmers and local communities of medical practitioners, for example, to better understand how to cultivate and how to use cannabis and kind of maximize those benefits.
Other Southeast Asian countries, such as Malaysia and the Philippines, have signalled their openness to relaxing rules on cannabis. That's put the spotlight on how the policy works in Thailand. Lei says that means it's especially important to legalise the drug properly, something she says Thailand is currently falling short on.
I still think that overall it is a positive that Thailand did this, but there just really needs to be a lot more to be done to make sure the kind of positive outcomes that you hope to see from a substance being legally regulated, that you'll really see that fully in Thailand. And also to address the legitimate concerns that people have around cannabis.
With Thailand heading to the polls in the general elections next week, possible political change is in the air. If a new party comes to power, then policy change could soon follow, and thousands of cannabis businesses could be forced to navigate tricky new terrain. Callum Stewart reporting from Chiang Mai for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's main international airport hit a passenger milestone on Tuesday. Taoyuan International Airport has recorded 10 million passengers so far this year. Daily passenger volume in April reached about 70% of pre-pandemic levels. Airport officials predict they will see 28 million passengers this year. Taiwan lifted its pandemic entry restrictions last October. Southern Taiwan is facing its most serious drought in decades. To fight the problem, a group of pipe doctors are trying to reduce water waste. Our reporter Sandy Chi has the story.
Listening to pipes and the ground. This may seem like odd behavior, but these people are professionals. They are pipe doctors. Their job is to find and fix leaks to help save water. With specially designed gadgets, they listen carefully to underground sounds. Once leaks are found, the experts immediately drill a hole and place a listening device to identify the location. Sometimes they have to use computers to pinpoint the leak. Usually, pipe doctors work at night, when there's less noise from cars and people.
大部分都会2个人一组。那我们在巡检的过程当中呢，检测员比较容易必须要专心去检测，所以必须有另外一位注意交通的状况。
In 2022, Taiwan Water Corporation inspectors checked the pipes in southern Taiwan's Jiayi. They had to inspect over 2,200 kilometers of pipe. That's more than enough to circle Taiwan. Their efforts saved over 26,000 tons of water, or the daily water consumption of 7,000 people. With these pipe doctors preventing water waste, they're keeping Taiwan's drought from worsening one leak at a time. Kama Xu and Sandy Chi for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's medal count at the Asian Weightlifting Championships in South Korea has climbed to 11. On Tuesday, Zhong Senmin and Chen Wenhui won a combined 5 medals. Zhong won 2 bronze and 1 silver. He came third in the individual snatch and clean and jerk performances, but was placed second overall for combined total weight lifted. Meanwhile, Chen took 2 bronze, 1 for clean and jerk, and another for her combined total. Zhong and Chen's medals added to Chen Guanling's 3 gold and Guo Xingchun's 3 bronze. Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. Finally today, we leave you with images of wildlife around Ecuador's Galapagos Islands. I'm Leslie Liao. Take care and see you next time.